Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Tony Commander J.R. Galpohkpa Chesson talk show. Today is January the 16th. We prepare for the weekend. Still, with all this cloud hanging over our heads. In America, in Liberia, we keep asking ourselves, which way? Which way? I don't have to hear you ask me that question. By the various shows I see, by the various topics raised by our community members here in the diaspora, as well as in Liberia. We have grave concerns, and we must ask ourselves, which way? Which way? My Liberian people? My American people? Which way? Let me put on my topics for today. I need support. I keep asking you to render me your support. A lot of you I haven't heard from. Most of you haven't heard from. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. Let's get to my topic. One, even the Mind Pillow TV guy was in on Donald Trump's January 6, 2021 coup. Can Liberians stand the test of time? Change Uganda. Let's get into my topic. Can you imagine? Even the Mind Pillow guy, the guy who on TV all the time telling people to buy my pillows, will send you this sheet, will send you that sheet. These people got money. And these are the kind of people who supported the insurrection, the attempted coup of Donald Trump on January 6, 2021. That date will live in infamy because it brought to the forefront and realization of all of us how grave and deep the ills of racism, race supremacy, illiteracy has penetrated the roots and depths of the American society. And for my brothers and sisters from Africa like me, who have not come to the understanding of what's happening in this society, you better do. Because if Donald Trump and the mind payload guy have been successful on January 6, 2021, do you know how many of us would have died? Do you know how many of us would have been deported? You people do not understand the magnitude of what occurred in this country on January 6th. You all don't understand how grave what happened and came to the realization of forefront of all Americans and the world. The grave domestic threat and enemies that are opposed to our constitutional democracy. Why? Because it's a system that allows every person in America to live free, to earn a living, to have your own ideas and dreams, to pursue your own happiness, to pursue your own wealth if you can work. And most of the people who attacked the White House, I mean, the Capitol building on January 6th, are the underbellies. These are people who don't want to work. Look at that man that was walking through the Capitol building with the Southern flag, with the Confederate battle flag. Do you think that man got the intelligence to work? Do you think that man has any education or the knowledge to attain any education worthwhile? Just look at that man. Look at his son. They say he was banging the glass. You could see him banging the front of the glass to break himself in the thing with the helmet, the black helmet. I think that's his son, but they say he and his son were arrested. Are those kind of people the kind of people that would get up and work? Give me a break, man. And these are the people that Donald Trump controlling because he got the same mentality as them. Don't even mind his wealth. He ain't got no education. That man is a dummy. He's an educated illiterate, a walking illiterate. An illiterate on I even know how to term the guy, man. The guy is just bad. And you got another man like your mom pillow man. Look at that man on TV. That his job to stick with the pillows. Now he go put himself in Donald Trump mess for what? Walking around with documents, planning strategic positions. We are in a grave mess. We are in a very grave mess. And what is so frightening about the mess we are in is our security forces and personnel are all implicated in these things. From what happened on January 6, 2021, all of us, especially minorities and blacks, and all of us should be damn afraid for our lives. We are not secure in America. The people who are supposed to secure us are the same people trying to overthrow our government, leaving their jobs, the police, the FBI, the Capitol Police too, the other, all the police in America we got problem with them. All of us who are black and working law enforcement know those kind of people. They can be our very best friends, but they go stab us in the back. I work with those kind of people all my life. And these are the people in our security forces, in the military. In the military. How will this country change from racism when the racists have never been punished? When they do things, we say, oh, forgive them. This is the same for peace sake that goes on in this country, but it's at a higher level. They don't call it for peace sake. They use all kind of big words. Oh, he's demolished enough. Oh, don't demolish him anymore. You can impugn him. All the big words they use that us African people just say it simply. You know, you're a traitor. You're a traitor. You're racist. You're racist. You're for peace sake person. You're for peace sake. And I'm shocked that many Americans want this thing. be swept under the rug. And Donald Trump still talking about going away with a big bang parade. You see, man, this is insanity. This man is still insane. He's mentally sick. And all the people who follow him and demonstrated and went to the Capitol building on January 6, 2021 are suffering from some sort of mental ill. You got to be mentally sick. You got to be mentally sick. You know, you're not even ransacking the Capitol building for a cause. You're not even saying you got grievances and problems, issues, and complaints. You ransacking it because Donald Trump told you to do it. Because he told you to go fight for him to be president again. For what? 400,000 American dead because of his incompetence, his failure. If you get the money, if the president can generate the funds, but he cannot defend the country that's supposed to use the fund, what good is getting all the funds? Huh? All the money you got, we got COVID-19. We can't use the money to save our own people. The government is so incompetent that they cannot even get vaccinations throughout the country. Something wrong, man. Something wrong with this system of leadership. And this the leadership you want to overthrow our country for? We almost 500,000 people dead. And you're still want this leadership over our country? A man who doesn't care about anybody or anything but himself, throws his own VP who been holding his shite for 4 years now. He just holding the man's shite in the back. Wherever flies out of Donald Trump, Pence got it. Just holding it in the back of Trump, just walking. My dear leader, my dear leader, my dear leader. Now, the dear leader knocked the damn servant to the ground. And even with all that, they're still scared to force the man to resign. They're still scared to impeach the man. For 4 years, Mitch McConnell, Jim Jordan, Ted Cruz, all the way the man cost Ted Cruz's father and family and wife. Ted Cruz has no pride and dignity in himself. For racism business, for hatred and power, you go suck up under Donald Trump and destroy your life and your legacy. And you got to be expelled because you guys are traitor to the United States of America, and you got to wear the badge with your family for the rest of your life now because you never respected who you were. You were never a man to stand up for yourself. But this is enough on my first topic now. My children are just bringing this thing forward for you to understand the immense peril and danger we are still in. Until all these people are caught, until they are sent to jail, all the plotters of this coup, all the Republicans that are leaders that are involved with this coup, we got to weed them out. We got to weed all the racists, bigots, and useless criminals in our law enforcement agencies that are causing other people to suffer and die because of their hatred, because of their greed. It's all greed and hatred, and thinking that other people taking from you what you never had, what you can never get. Why are you killing my people? It gotta stop. Why you got us living in this kind of fear? It gotta stop. Or we'll perpetrate it all through the world. Because it can't go on for black people continually, century after century, year after year, day after day, and we're acting like cowards and criminals, century after century after century, talking about we're not Africans. We don't want to be an African. They're African people. If you're in Africa, you can't survive in the white world. You better wake up, smell the coffee, fart, poo poo, wherever you want to smell, to wake yourself up. The time of my people is now. Can Liberians stand the test of time? Since our country been founded, just like America, we are going through an experiment. Uh, but our experiment is greater. No, I wouldn't say greater. Our experiment is in the initial stages still. America's experiment started, and just like ours, it was flawed. Where men agreed, where men that had no morals sometimes, where men that didn't care about anybody else but themselves, or how wealthy they could get on the backs of other people. And this is how Liberia started too. So our democratic experience and experiment is no different than America's. American people started just like us. We got 16 tribes. You don't know how many tribes they had in America because everybody didn't come to America under the same experience. There were white people, there were criminals in America, and America was a land of punishment for them to send them to the new world, let them go and live with the Indians and all those people that they got to fight to survive. It was a death sentence for white people, for the Europeans to exile you to the new world. So it was like death because you will never go back to England. How you go back? Only the England people had ships coming all over the world. And the ship was British ship. So when they bring you and put you down in the new world, you will never see England again. Except you got plenty of money. Except you make money here in the new world. But basically, for the people who they were sending here, the criminals, the killers, the bank robbers, getting them away from British society because they were persona non grata. So they were sending them to the new world. Then there were the Puritans, all those people who just wanted to find a place to live by themselves, to have a whole world by themselves, to bring their enlightenment into the new world. You had that group too. Then you had the British government group, the elite, the lords and all the barons that wanted to come over and bring the military to capture the New World, to expand British wealth and experiment too. So there were many people here for different purposes. But many of the people who came were protected under the British crown. So for those other rebels and prisoners and people who opposed the crown and were tired with the kingship and felt that they weren't even criminals. They were just tired with the kingship and they wanted to try their lives somewhere else. So some of them came here and they joined with the other group that were expelled from Britain. And they opposed anything that was British in America because they had to find a new path. They had to find a new path. And in order to find that new path, they had to develop an ideal that did not impose a kingship leadership upon them, where no man would get and say, "Oh, I'm the king. All of you got to do this. I will build armies." Excuse me. My ginger is getting to me too. I've been drinking coffee too. So, oh, that was nice. Excuse me. So, there you had it. You had these people, the Puritans, the government officials, and the entrepreneurs, the business people who wanted to come into the new world to expand their wealth, the possibility of their growth, of their business, and all of that. So they were coming with all these ideas, but they were coming under the protection of the British crown. But yeah, with these other Americans being expelled from Britain, some of them they were tired and had tired with the politics and had challenged the queen and the king so much that it was in their best interest to leave that country. So yeah, they were in a new world. They weren't going to take the abuse of the crown. They wanted freedom. And they stood up for the freedom. And in the search of a freedom, they know they had to come together too. Same thing like Liberia. Look at what I'm teaching you and look at what happened in our country. So in order for them to come together, they had to bring all the people that believe in what they believe in together to fight the crown. Because they did not want the queen or the king to put any sovereign restrictions on their lives. That what they left and resisted and stole and did all the negative things for because they didn't believe in the kingship, in the monarchy, and they felt it was oppressing them. So when they came to America and formed their alliance, the British people still wanted to control them because the new world, after the British saw the wealth and the expansion in this country, the possibilities of expansion, they wanted to bring the kingdom here too. And that's when there was this fight, the revolutionary fight. We've been through that in Liberia too. We've been there through it. That's our history. And that's our test of time. Because when the Congo people came back to Liberia in 1822, their hope was to form a nation that would stand free and sovereign and be a representation and an example to the world that black people had the intelligence, the knowledge, the spiritual endowment, the blessings of the Almighty God to rule ourselves, to build our own nation. And the only way we could do it, because we were threatened too. Africa was being taken over by the British, the French, Belgium, and Dutch, all these people. They were fighting for Africa. And who are these little black enslaved people to come from America to come own anything in Africa? We had no place in Africa. But because we have founding fathers that stood with us, who bought this land for us to seek our own freedom, they protected it for us. We were never colonized. Not because of our own will, but because we have people protecting us. And because of our own will and spirit, we stood firm on our beliefs to expand the colony to a nation. And that's what we did. And we didn't do it alone. America wasn't founded by white people alone. The Indians helped the white people too. They formed alliances with the Indians. Yes, they did most of them bad because they flipped on them for money and wealth, just like they did to the black people. They did it to all of us. Because the British people, all they cared about was wealth and their own survival. They didn't care about us. They just wanted to colonize and control and exploit. That was the mission. And that was the whole concept of indirect rule that they took to Africa and still doing today. Indirect rule. So you know that if that's a policy, indirect rule, it means that the country will never come in your country to take it over. They will just come and colonize it and rule the people through their chiefs and their kings and things. So right there, the society is divided because you have an elitist society that caters to the needs of the foreigners. And they are the elite of the society. They are the kings and queens. So all of that brings our country or countries to what we are today. And that's what differentiates Liberia from other African countries. That what you see today, the British and the French cannot stop their colonial practices. They're still wearing wigs and all the kind of thing in hot Africa, wearing all these fancy gowns and things, and Liberians still do it too in our country. We wear the same gowns, we wear nothing African. Look at all of us on the show here. We come with coat and tie and all of that. It's a good way, it's a good dress too. But we got our own too. And there's no need to forsake one for the other. Why we can't have both? The same thing like America. Why they can't have diversity? And everybody live in this big country. Same thing with Liberia. Why we gotta have all this tribal war, this tribal diversity, this massive stealing, this corruption, all the nepotism going on in our country? Why we gotta keep doing it, my people? Why we gotta keep doing it? Look at the problems in our country today. We have been through this test of time for almost 2 centuries. We have been through this test of time. But look at our country and our government. We don't want to change. We cannot stay on this peace-sick thing forever. Same thing with America. Because our democracies will fail time and time again. When we're not sincere to our laws and the constitution that we all agree upon. Because none of us want a sovereign king over us. None of us want a big chief over all of us. No, we want an opportunity to go vote, express our feelings, to demonstrate and exercise our political rights, to be happy because our system works. Now look at last year. That was the most fair election in America. There will always be flaws. There will always be minor glitches. There will always be problems and issues. Nobody is perfect. But the perfectness comes from when we all realize and feel in our hearts that yes, there may have been discrepancy, but it's not enough to take away our happiness from the results of the overall election. And that's what happened last year. Everybody had a fair chance to vote. And everybody came out more than ever before in America's history to vote because our democracy was threatened. And it's the same thing in Liberia. And every day we go through this test of time in my country in Liberia, our people fail to realize and understand time again that our democracy is threatened. We came from Tottenham for 30 years of one man ruling our country, suppressing our freedom, changing our lives, making us conducive to how he wanted us to be. That's not the country we wanted. Look at it today. We can't change our mentalities. We can't change our behaviors. Why? When a president rules for 30 years or more, it destroys the people. The people become subservient. All the real men are killed because real men will not permit leaders to break the agreement with the people and try to maintain themselves in power indefinitely. Real men will speak out. Real men who don't care about power. Men like Albert Port. Those are real men. Those men did not care about jobs or position. Yes, they wanted good lives, but they wanted justice too. They were people who were educated in their society, and they had patriotic commitments to the laws and implementation thereof with justice, equality, and fairness. And this is what we have suffered from time and time again. We have failed that test of time. We don't have men standing up for our society time again. And that's because our leaders have always been taught, for peace sake, close a blind eye, trust and don't pay, steal from steal, make God laugh. So there's no, if God want to laugh, if you want to make God laugh, let a man steal, then you go steal from him. So no laws, just let people steal, and when they steal, you find out how to steal it from them, either by killing them or beating them. The same thing with Darius Dillon, brother. People just wait for you to leave your property, then they go break into it and steal it. Then try to kill you for it. So, time and time again, our survival rests on how we handle the experiences and tests of time. Everything we go through is testing up to see it will pass. Or I want to apologize. There's a heavy rainstorm going outside. So you hear the tap, tap, tap all through my show that it rains on my windows pane. Oh, Lord. My one-room shack. Bob Marley. Hey, can the fucking preacher sing that one for me? I'm in my one-room shack and the birds, I can't hear the birds because the rain beating them right now. But let me get back to my lesson. I got time for the fucking preacher right now. So everything we go through in our lives is a test of time. And Liberian people, we have failed time and time again when it comes to accountability, when it comes to trustworthiness, when it comes to honesty, when it comes, above all, to patriotism. We have failed time and time again. And why we keep failing? Because we lose sight of who we are. We lose sight of what our Constitution is to us. We keep pointing to America, and America is going through the same problems we are going to. But we are just heading in our second century. America is going into their fourth century. So they got 2 centuries, 200 years over us. that we got to catch up with. And we cannot catch up with it if we don't understand what our tests of time are. Because we got to understand that each trial and tribulation we go through, there's only one thing that can get us through it. There's only one thing. Our reliance on our Constitution and laws. That's the only thing will get us through it. And the only institution that can ensure that we continue through this path of justice, fairness, equality in our society is the judiciary. Only the judiciary. Because in our political realm, we will always have discussions, confusions, uprising, and difficulties. And the only institution that can assure us that things are fair, consistent, perpetual, continual is our judiciary. Why? Look at America now. No matter what Donald Trump does in this country, the masses of the people know that he has exercised every legal remedy and failed. His own judges has failed. So how do people get so much control over the country? How did Tubman get so much control over Liberia to be president for 30 years? How did Museveni, or whatever they call it, in Uganda, get so powerful to stay over the country for 30 years? The only way you can do that is to get rid of the intelligentsia, the thinking and brain of the country. When you get rid of them, or know how to subdue the many of them and get rid of the few of them that will stand up against you, you can succeed. But if a man comes to power and everybody already subservient to him and believe time immemorial that he is one of the greatest men in the public, in the private sector, and creates jobs and money and power, that man is powerful. And when he becomes a political leader and understands the way how to manipulate people, the way how to control people, the way how to incite people using their economic weakness or weaknesses, that man can try to become a demagogue. Now look at now, even people talking about the Trump family must perpetuate themselves in power after Donald Trump gone, Junior will take over, then Ivanka, then that's the thing, American people. Can you believe that? Can you believe that American people thinking that the Trump family is an American dynasty now? That after the father, the son, the daughter, and the other son, and the grandson, all of them will take over this country. What is wrong with our people? What is wrong with our people in Liberia? Look at our government today. I woke up this morning, everybody talking about Justina Taylor or something. I mean, this discussion going on in our government. This is discussion going on our national stage. Obed, and his woman having marital problem and girlfriend problem because he want pregnant, he want woman. He know the woman involved in a political situation. He go help the woman go fall in love and won't get married. I mean, then they involving all our society. I mean, what's going on with our people? I mean, these issues you're fighting with are too childish. We still not meeting the test of time. Our whole country obsessed with BS, with stupidity, with immaturity. How long will go on? We keep failing the test of time. We keep failing. Look at people talking about Darius Dillon, brother. You know the politics in our country, Darius Dillon not coming, brother not coming out of jail. He was in jail because he was challenging George Weah. You think George Weah then will let that man out of jail? Your government is corrupt and backwards. People dying with impunity. The killers getting away with impunity. So what would Darius Dillon do for his brother? You think that because he senator, that why he came out? No, maybe he won and they know they couldn't keep his brother in jail no more because there would be problems. Why would you keep an innocent man in jail? We're all giving him his day in court. Justice delayed is justice denied. And these are the principles upon which we got to lay on time and time again to ensure that our constitutional democratic experience on the West African coast will succeed time and time again. We are the bringers, precursors, teachers, enlighteners, light on the African continent. This wasn't because we begged for it. This wasn't because it just fell from the clouds. No, this was because black people who were sold into the wilderness came back home, not to kill our people, but we came back home with the knowledge of the world to embrace our people and bring us together to form one nation and one people, unlike any other nation on the African continent. You can't compare no nation on the African continent to Liberia. We are the only free, Negro-owned, run, and led government and people on the entire West African continent. Now, y'all wake up, my Liberian children. Look at our history. Look at what we have accomplished to this very day. And tell me, Liberia is not a great nation. Tell me what our forefathers accomplished for us today is not greatness beyond anybody's dream in the world, beyond any Negro's dream in the world. We did this ourselves. We had the intelligence, the knowledge, and divine power and wisdom, not to free ourselves, but to inspire other African countries to rise up from their chieftaincies, from their monarchies, from their wayward, useless men and women who had a stronghold on their countries, to rise up against foreign institutions of colonialism, enslavement, and perpetual domination of Negro people. And rise up in spite of all the ashes and fire burning around us to say, Aluta, continua. We own Papa's land. And we freed Africa from 1847 to 1950. Liberia was the only black nation in the whole damn world. And we spoke for Africa at the League of Nations, at the United Nations, where we founded Israel for them, and everywhere in the world. Liberia represents Negro people, black men and women. That has been our mission. We are freedom fighters. We are the bringers of freedom to Africa. Constitutional democratic freedom for each and every one of us as individuals to have a right to say, I want to live this way. I want to live that way. I can strive and pursue wealth. I can dream big and pursue it. And I cannot be held down. This is what we're fighting for in our country. And only a democratic society can offer any individual in our country that right. So when we resort to our tribalism, when we resort to warlords leading our country, when we resort to people stealing our wealth consistently, how will we ever rise up under our constitutional system of democracy to pursue our own happiness? We can't, because when they steal the money and take it home for themselves, we have no money to build the institutions that gives us the right, the privileges, the understanding to accomplish for ourselves whatever we want to do. And Liberian people, we have no limits. Just like the Jamaican, you see, no snow in Jamaica, but Jamaica got a bobsled team competing in the winter sports. There is no ice. There is no damn ice in Jamaica. But just from the sour taxi and all the things, they transform that concept to enable them to participate in the winter sports. So nothing is impossible. Just like us in Liberia, we come to America and live. Yes, the first few months may get hell to get used to the cold, but when you gotta go out there and work, when you gotta go out there to make a living, you can't stay out of the cold. You can't say I will not go out there to make a living. You better find your gloves, your mittens, anything to keep you warm to live in this country. That's passing the test of time, protecting our lives, protecting our society, protecting our own interests. And whenever our government reaches the state, even like in America, where when our democracy is threatened from within or from without, our resolve as people who believe in our own selves, in our own self-rule, in our own self-governance under a constitutional institution where we all, yes, despite our problems, we still have the right to speak out, to stand up, to act as individuals, free to move, to assemble peacefully. We still have that right. And once we understand how important that is to us, we will always protect our constitutional democracy, just like we are doing in America right now. You do know what the test of time will bring. And constitutional democracy will always be faced with various tests in our existence. Because you will always have greedy people rising up who want to impose their will, their own freedoms and destiny on us to make it our will and destiny too. And we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow that. Then that would be subjugating our own rights and sovereignty and love and every commitment to the will of other people. And that's not what our constitutional democracy is all about. We are, just like America, Liberia, we don't have the same national anthem, but we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. Look how we fought in 1980, since 1980. Look at our Civil War. If we could fight that among ourselves, what do you think we'll do to our enemies? We are a great power, but we only can recognize that when we understand that every stage in our lives, in our existence as a nation, as a people collectively, we will face tests of time. So when we build that foundation in us and in our children, that ensures that they are patriotic, they are loyal, Not only because they are called Liberia, but because they fall under the laws that guarantees them perpetual citizenship, perpetual rights, dignities, and pride that brings out equality, justice, and freedom in all of us. This is Liberia we've played for so we can pass the test of time. My children, our constitutional democracy is a never-ending struggle. Because where the free will of the people abounds, others, demagogues, fast-talking people can come and destroy our lives, destroy our society, destroy our way of living. And that makes it very important that we as a nation and people understand while learning our nation laws, learning our constitution, learning our civics, learning about our country, and above all, getting a sound education is significant. High school education is not enough. We got to pursue college degrees because high school degree now, high school diploma now, does not teach you enough to gain the knowledge and experience you need to get you on a path to pursue your own happiness. We got to think strong, my young children. We can't be like our fathers and mothers. We got to understand why it is important to unite, to integrate, to stop the foolishness, to stop all this foolishness in our country about woman and man. Everybody talk about Justina Doe and Obed and George Weah and Burma v. Burma. This is childishness. We can do better. But we need leaders who will take us mentally to better places. These people we got are childish people. And they're keeping us stagnant in states of immaturity. Rise. Seek a better path. Follow the Tony Commander, Galpohkpa Chesson. The time is now. This one Uganda has been a troubled nation in Africa for so many years. It has been a nation whose plight and peoples have been so broken, has been so diminished and destroyed with these dictators. From one dictator to another, ruling countries for years under the gun. It can't go on, Uganda. Uganda must change. That country must be given freedom. But who would do that? You know, and even with Bobby Wine, this thing that happened with Liberia. When a poor man rises and take over the country, everybody in his circle think they are entitled to pursue the same path. And that's what happened in Liberia today. Since Samuel Doe took over Liberia, every indigenous person of the lowest level feel they can rise to power with a gun, or they have that right to pursue that power, because anybody can become president when you know how to overthrow the government, when you know how to kill people. So that's why our leaders still killing people now, because as long as you up there, you insecure. Because the minds of people who have been led by dictators for 30, 40, 50, 60 years and have been liberated and have known no dictators, no democracy, no freedom, it can pose a problem for any leader who is not wise and educated to handle the politics, the stresses, the demands, the obligations, the responsibilities of the office. It requires certain kind of people. That's why they say, many are called, but few are chosen. So it's all the same thing, a test of time. And anywhere you have a dictator in Africa, we got to try to eliminate that dictator. All Africans got to rise and fight to get rid of that dictator. Bobby Wine cannot do it alone. And that is why ECOWAS and the African Union are supposed to be relevant institutions in Africa. Because only those institutions can ensure that peace and stability reign throughout Africa. That constitutional democracy be the hallmark in every African nation. And any overthrower or any president that tries to steal above his constitutional term of limit or try to change it to extend his time in power must be removed. Must be removed. Must be removed. That's not how our country works. And before we can change our constitutions, there must be deep consideration. Just like the amendment that wanted to be done to Liberia Constitution under this recent election, and the government bypassed every aspect of the law to ensure that the Liberian people were prepared to vote on a referendum, so too must Africans in every nation be educated, vote as literates of the laws, the voting processes, and everything that ensures fairness, the right changes of governmental leadership, whenever it comes around. Why? Our constitutional governmental institutions must work to ensure peace and stability in Africa. We cannot call ourselves dictatorships, write constitutional laws, put men in power who become so powerful that they can demand that our laws be changed at the whim and at the bribery of people like Fanny Sherman and the rest who are the bribers of our leadership. How can we have a man like Fanny Sherman? How can we have a man like that? Man will be expelled immediately from the Liberian Senate. Immediately. And prosecuted for his crime. The time of the Liberian people is now. Ladies and gentlemen, young boys and girls, men and women, my class is done. 1 hour is enough. But I want you all to know that we are still facing the test of time, not only in Liberia, but throughout Africa. Every nation in Africa that declares itself a constitutional democratic republic and has a dictator staying in the power of the seat for prolonged periods of time against the constitution, or leaders who try to change the terms and provisions and articles of their constitution against the provisions of how such things supposed to occur, how voters supposed to be educated and literate of the voting processes, and why they're voting for certain things. My children, education is the foundation of good governance and leadership anywhere in the world. Aluta. Have a good day.